is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
RaceSpotTV. Where else are you going to be at this time on Monday night? And don't stay on the sofa watching something like Love Island, because you know you're lying to yourselves. It's Monday Night Skippys, as always. Rachel Whiteford and Will Vincent bringing in the action tonight. And boy, do we have a race for you today. Mid-Ohio is one of the classic tracks in the calendar. It always produces phenomenal racing, and we are looking forward to exactly that tonight. The first 3 rounds of the series have not disappointed. We've had some serious action, and well, this week shows signs of being little different. In fact, looking at the timing already in the end of qualifying, Anthony Des on the lead, but guess who's in second place? Is Simon Povey. The Povinator is back. That'll be interesting to see. Ben Daniels is up there. Edwards Grillo is in 5th. The old school boys on the old school track. Fraser only back in 6th place. It's going to be a phenomenal run tonight, we certainly hope. And we're glad you're coming here to join us, as always. Monday nights on RaceSpotTV just wouldn't be the same. And if you're just taking some time before the race starts, feel free to check out our description down below. We've got information on our charitable partner here, of course, CALM, the Campaign Against Living Miserably. Depression is one of the leading causes of male suicide under the age of 45. They do some seriously important work. Check them out. And if you want to have cameras that look as good as ours, check out Esteban Ballot's Track Pack for Gourmets. I always thought I was just for French chefs, but apparently they can use cameras too. Moving swiftly on, we have got our timing up now for qualifying. We should have those final results in about 40 seconds for you to tell you what is going down. We've got 15 laps here today around this 13-turn, 2.25 mile track here in mid-Ohio. It's kind of useful because it is actually mid-Ohio. It's Lexington, which is kind of in the middle, Will.
It is. I feel like just starting an Ohio State chant, OHIO. But yeah, it's an interesting track. Of course, when they do IndyCar races here, they don't actually start down on the start-finish line because they're worried about all the drivers crashing. But in this place, turn number 1 and the first 5 corners, Rachel, they are going to be key here because it's a narrow track. But your first 5 corners are a good chance to get positions up before you go through China Bend.
Absolutely, and they always are in the NASCAR Series race that runs here for the Xfinity cars and basically any other race at this track. iRacing fans, you'll know what this place is like in any category of cars. The first couple of corners are a pain. Well, the final checkered flag is out, and there's been some upset in qualifying because Simon Edwards has snipped that pole position away from Fahim Antonides. We'll have a look at our 1 second bracket. It's our indicator in all these races. 40, 34, 7 is what we're looking at. 35, 7 will be our 1 second bracket. And that goes all the way down to 22nd place. So it's quite a wide field today. A lot of similarity in terms of pace. We've got over 50 drivers here tonight. This is going to be a phenomenal one. And without further ado, we're going to go to your qualifying order. Simon Edwards on pole as mentioned, 1 minute 34.728. Ben Daniels in second place. Bill Fraser in third. Fahim Antonides pushed down to fourth in the last seconds. Simon Povey in fifth place. Paul Grillo sixth place. Claire Hughes seventh. Anthony Jones, Ken Halliburton and Clark Williams your top 10. Behind them, Abdul Al-Amri in 11th place with Dave Walsh. Anthony Catt, Christopher Keeble. Nicholas Vaughan Roberts in 15th place. Matt Cox, Dave Martin, Gary Tall, Stuart Dick and Robert Plumley in 20th. Rest of those results for you up on your screen, as it seems like 1 or 2 shuffled around between 9th place and about 12th, so a couple of changes there, including Anthony Catt moving up 1, but in general, things stayed exactly as we expected, and this track will be unforgiving, and we've got some veterans here who've raced this track a lot. Povey and Grillo know this place inside out. Antonides, you know what, I'm going to call him a veteran now too. He's been around this series for a long time, and we'll see exactly what he can do here. Simon Edwards and Ben Daniels, though, leading your front row here tonight. Will be very interesting in how this race turns out. That is one thing we definitely want to see. Because getting out of the first couple of corners, as Will mentioned, is critical. China Bend, named aptly so, because if you go off there, you're probably heading to China. It is a banked corner where the track falls away beyond the actual asphalt, down into a sand trap. And if you get in there, yeah, you're screwed. You will lose a lot of time. You'll probably get the car out again because this is iRacing, of course, but in real life, China Bend is the graveyard of many a race car. And we expect to see that pretty much every race at Mid-Ohio. But as the cars will now be heading across to the grid to line up, we're going to get ready for 15 laps of racing around here. We already looked at the weather conditions. It is kind of standard. Partly cloudy with about 75 degrees Fahrenheit, track temperature of 83 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's a morning race today, which of course changes that skybox here in iRacing, which does have an impact on how the cars perform. Winds southerly from 7 miles an hour, humidity about 40%, so it's pretty decent today in terms of track conditions. We're looking almost optimal, a little bit cooler than average. This should perform very well. Expect a very grippy race here with lots and lots of on-track action. These guys will have the confidence in their cars to be able to go fast here. This means we're going to be expecting a very aggressive race. Just a couple of moments now, the cars are starting to get themselves out on the racetrack to head up for the start. And, well, we did mention we had over 50 cars. We've got 52 today. 52 cars, all of them have either set times or been out in practice. So we expect to see those guys on the track. In fact, they end up basically starting the back of your field before the final... what do we call this one, Will? The wagon wheel? The cart wheel?
Carousel.
The horseshoe? The carousel?
Yeah, why not?
Americans come up with some of the weirdest names for big, round corners.
They do, and they're literally starting a good 500 yards away from the start-finish line, Rachel, as the lights are about to go on.
They absolutely are. Lights are about to go on the gantry, that Honda gantry above the racetrack. Before this one kicks off, Edwards and Daniels, your front row. Green flag will fly. It's ironic how we talk about a flag and then lights, but doesn't matter, it's racing. The cars are getting off now, and Bill Fraser already making a charge here on Ben Daniels for second place. Has the inside line for turn 1. Secures that position very quickly. That's an important move for Fraser to make here, so he can make this attack on Simon Edwards in short order here. Povey already looking at Antonides. That'll be an interesting fact to keep our eyes on, of course. Simon Povey and Antonides, old war horses in this series, and will definitely be interesting to see how they play on the racetrack. Grillo behind Povey, that will also be something to keep our eyes on. Clark Williams, he moved up from a 10th place, qualifying to 7th in the last seconds here, as Fahim Antonides right on the back there of Ben Daniels. He moves up alongside him for China Bend, but takes the outside line here. Could that dip away into the sand trap just behind the corner? You overextend here, well, your race will pay for it. Fahim actually kept it on the outside there. That Thrustmaster Monocar gets through in the following corner. Nicely done there. Fraser closing on Edwards, but not quite close enough yet to mount an attack. Field coming through strong at the moment. Not much in terms of upset. Everyone playing nice in this early lap. So much traffic. Quite a lot of grip, so the car's going where the drivers want them to go at the moment. Once they realize just how grippy this place is, we'll probably see some people trying things that might not necessarily have happened. Just a lift for that corner before we get to our carousel corner here. The last place starters were starting just about where you saw those cars. As now through onto the start-finish straight. This will be Bill Fraser's attempt here before we get to turn 1, and then have a second attempt down towards China Bend. The two big passing opportunities, although China Bend in the backstretch there is our main passing opportunity here at Mid-Ohio, unless you get very brave in the corners. Top 10 spreading out here as we come up now. Lap 2 underway here, Will, and Fraser really catching up on Edwards here. He needs to attack soon or Antonides will do it for him.
Yeah, as we go on board actually with that driver of Bill Fraser heading himself then on the exit of the keyhole now towards China Bend. He will come, and Rachel, this is the best drafting opportunity on track as well. This is where we're going to see the drivers go 2 and 3 wide, because after this you pretty much have to go single file after you get to China Bend.
Oh, you normally have to, but the Skippys is one of the few cars that's almost like motorcycle racing. It lets you go 2 wide where you probably shouldn't in a racetrack, and Bill Fraser kept the inside like Fahim did on Ben Daniels, but he doesn't use it to get past there as Povey gets up alongside Daniels for a moment here, and oh, Edwards having to defend very aggressively here on Fraser, who's trying to make this attack stick. Lost his opportunity there, but definitely has the pace here. Feels like he's being held up behind Edwards at the moment. This top group here concertinaing back together again, as the speed being checked there at the front with the defensive moves from Edwards. Keeping what he can in the bank here. Gotta play it safe, Bill. We've seen this from in the past. He's made some very sensible racing choices. But when he gets frustrated, we see that young, excited racer come out again. The one that would make unforced errors. Could Bill be trying to do something similar here? Is he waiting for a right chance? He looked there to just be killing his own draft for a moment so he could stay just behind him rather than getting up alongside. Lap car here. As, oh, Edwards ducks behind the lap car there to try and take advantage of that little bit of draft to pull a gap, as Antonides will take advantage of the confusion on track here, gets alongside Fraser. But it won't be enough in the corner. Through the keyhole. And now Antonides does have a run here on Fraser. Big run. Bill got a very bad exit there from the corner. And they'll run down towards the kink here at turn 3. Down towards 4 and China Bend. What will he get out of this? They're alongside. He has the inside line, which is a big advantage. Goes past Edwards there. 3 wide as Edwards brakes hard. Kind of wanted to eject out of that situation there as Fraser has the inside now. What will Fraser's chance be with Antonides ahead of him? A slide there from Edwards as he loses that spot. 2 spots lost in China Bend. That's the sort of racing we expect, Will.
Yeah, and it's the sort of thing as well. If your name is Simon Edwards, you don't need to be too worried just yet. You can see he gave the position really up to Fahim rather than trying to risk it too wide through that kind of 4-corner sequence after that long straightaway. But now Fahim has the lead of the race. Let's see what he can do. Is behind Rachel. I mean, your top 10 are pretty much all still nose to tail.
Absolutely are there. And Kane Halliburton in 10th place, your last car in that group. Closely followed by Anthony Jones and Abdul Amri behind them in 11th and 12th. So quite a lot of cars still closed up in your top group there, as we've got some lane splitting going on. Edwards pulls off to the inside. Not sure why these guys are attempting to break a draft on the front stretch. It's a very unusual thing, not something we've seen before in Skippy racing at Mid-Ohio, as Bill gets a run here on Antonides. Can he use this? He gets up alongside. Hard corner to pass on the outside, though. He's going to put himself in position for a wider entry to the corner rather than that defensive inside line. As Williams and Povey duking out just behind them here. Fraser got a good run there. Will have a speed advantage on Antonides. Antonides goes for a defensive line. Puts Fraser on the outside, the standard attacking position, it seems. Leaders preferring to hold that inside line, knowing there's a good chance they'll hold the next corner even if they're too wide. Fraser, though, with a very good overlap there as, oh, Daniels gets a piece of Edwards going through China Bend there. And it looks as though Antonides does keep enough speed to have the advantage about 4 corners after the pass started to take it back from Bill Fraser, but he doesn't quite close the door in time. Now he gets a chance to close that door, slams it in Fraser's face. The racing getting very, very high octane up here at the front, as now they'll come up through to our second straight here at Mid-Ohio. Third, if we're being truly honest, but it's the second real straight we get here. Up towards a flat left-hander over crest. Sounded like a rally co-driver at the moment. Yeah, I did, as I've actually been doing quite a bit of rally with some friends recently, so that for some reason, you know, left over crest made sense to me at the moment. But Bill Fraser there, again, following that weird rule we've seen recently of ducking out of line, trying to keep his spacing right to the cars ahead of him, rather than getting too close to the back and having to lift going into the corner. Showing these guys are thinking ahead. They're also cooling their engines. They know they're going to be in a train a lot during this race. Could engine temperature be a major factor here? That is something we'll have to keep an eye on to see whether or not people hurt from this. With how close they're all running, I think these guys are really worried about temperatures, Will.
Yeah, and one of the things I was thinking about that as well, Rachel, especially down towards turn 1, is you've got to remember that's a medium-speed left-hander. If they are right up close and they have to lift off the throttle, what it will mean is actually they lose momentum.
3 wide for the lead.
Oh, as a 3 wide.
Yeah, that got a little tight there, congested as Edwards tried to force the door open like a cat trying to get back into a room it's not been allowed into. Just a little paw sticking around the door there, trying to get in. You can tell I've just got a kitten recently as Antonides leads the way. Lapped car ahead of them, which could pose an interesting problem in this narrower section of the racetrack as Fraser hounded the back of Antonides there. Edwards up close behind him. Daniel's not really posing an attack yet. Clark Williams, though, he's moved forwards pretty aggressively. 5th place now from 7th on the start. Fraser closing in once again on Antonides. Opportunity maybe to pass in the carousel if he's bold. But it's not going to be this time round as they all merrily sit in line. We'll see the ball breaking that line again once again to get some cold air on the engines. Bill Fraser dives out very quickly. He's paranoid. Bill Fraser lost an engine last week, Okiyama, don't forget, so engine temperatures are very much hot on his mind to get the horrible puns out of the way at this point of the race. Has a good run here, and Antonides pulls out again just for the engine temperature's sake, probably not attempting a pass. This course gives Edwards a good clean air behind them. 2 lap cars ahead of them. That will be interesting because it will be on the straight. This could definitely help Antonides as Fraser gets a giant run there. Antonides got a very poor exit. And of course, the lap traffic will provide Fraser something to grip onto. But Antonides gets back in front here just as the overlap happens again. This time Bill has the inside line. That is a big advantage for him. The leader normally goes to that defensive inside, but can he hold the advantage? Antonides may take it back as the lap car takes to leave the track rather than get back involved here as he nearly re-enters the track in front of the leaders. That could have been terrible for them. Not something they want as contact there. Antonides and Bill Fraser for 1st and 2nd as Antonides closed a door that he really had no option but to close because of the racing line, and Fraser nearly collected his back wheel there. In fact, he touched it just barely. That is not something you want on a cresting corner there because the cars are very much light at the back end. And it's super easy to get them turned around here. And the lap car ahead of them panicking as he sees about 7 race cars bearing down on him from behind. Probably a good idea to move at some point. This is going to be, I believe, Barry West, one of the bananas, who will be doing his best to go west at this point and get out of Dodge, as you might say. Everyone cooling their engines down the front stretch once again, and Barry West will be helping Antonides here a bit. He'll be providing him a bit of a tow as they head up towards the keyhole. Why is it a keyhole? Well, if you look at this section of track on the right-hand side as we come up to that big 180-degree corner, in a lot of layouts, that is actually used. Not in the IndyCar or the NASCAR, but that section of racetrack is used in one of the layouts, which is why this has become known as a keyhole, because it looks like the front of a key, but not the hole. So it makes no sense, but either way, Bill Fraser up along the outside now of Antonides doing what he can. Daniel's looking to make a move here on Edwards. Fraser not going to get alongside before China Bend. Edwards nearly got there, and Fraser, that could have been interesting if he'd just been a little bit further forwards. Lap 7 of 15 we're on. We'll be halfway this time across the line, and oh, bit of contact there. Povey and Williams back in the 5th and 6th spots. Those two were very close together as now Anthony Catt gets through there. We've had an incident with McRitchie We'll have to try and find out what's happened with James McRitchie. He's in the pits right now. We're going to get a replay for you on your screens as, going through China Bend, McRitchie goes straight there into the back of the 61 car. That was Stuart Dick, so McRitchie got a bit of him, got a bit of the 40 from behind Dave Martin, and just for good measure, a bit of the 6 in Adrian Hendy. That puts him off on the grass, so unfortunately the biscuit got dunked in China Bend this time round. The biscuit got dunked in China. It's a very British thing to say. I'm sticking with that one. That's a fantastic pun. I'm keeping that one very much in place here as Bill Fraser, once again, cooling that engine. You could say there's an element of paranoia, Will, because of all drivers, Fraser's the one that's typically a lot faster than some of these guys but struggles to make the pass. Ends up sitting behind a lot of these guys very close for a long time. He's lost a lot of engines in his career in this series. You think at this point he's expecting it almost?
Maybe, especially with some very high mid to high speed corners as well. I'll get some words out as I go side by side again, shall I? In towards China Bend. But Rachel, you're right. The experience there showing for him as well, and that he is taking it cautious. I'd say until maybe the last 2 laps, just in case.
Contact there, Antonides and Fraser, as you talk about taking it easy. That was not taking it easy, although that was more on Antonides sliding wide. There's a bit of contact there as almost a bump and run happens, but these guys can't do that. They've got spoilers and wings on these cars that you don't really want to actually damage. As the inside goes Fraser, slides the car there, loses momentum, nearly loses the entire car. What a save, will lose 2 spots there to Edwards and Daniels. Replay for you as almost full Tokyo drift there from Bill Fraser. Hangs onto the car barely. You got to remember, these cars are very back happy. They really want to turn around very easily. You get off that gas too fast and when you're turning, the car's spinning. They are very, very easy to loop, being mid-engined race cars. And wow, Bill Fraser just about saved that one there by the skin of his teeth. I think he's glad he's wearing the brown fire suit. That's all I'm going to say. But right now I'm going to go for the move there on Edwards, or at least look to the outside of Edwards, look to the inside and the outside again. He's going to be a ballet dancer at the moment, just constantly changing cheek. Looks to the outside, looks to try and set up for a good draft down the straight, but passing so much harder when you're more than a car behind the leader. You end up stuck in that draft position, but he gets his nose just outside. This will help his temperatures, and as well, he does have a bit of an overlap, can pull some draft there from Edwards. Gets him alongside Daniels, will stay on that obscure inside. Slots back in front of Edwards. Daniels, oh gosh, there goes Daniels at the inside. But Fraser does have a slightly better line there on the outside come inside for the following corner. Secures the position there. And you've got Povey breathing down the back there of Ben Daniels. Edwards now going to be challenging for him, Antonides, for that lead as Bill Fraser tries to recover himself from a major slide here in turn 9, which he just had as he came through their last lap by. As looks like we have got a bit of a wobble coming from Antonides at the right front. He's trying his best, but it's looking a little bit sketchy. We look back at Gary Tall in 15th place. He's racing right now with the likes of Stuart Dick and Dave Martin. Martin has a big run here as they come up towards 10. Nearly makes it, gets alongside Stuart Dick. Will have the advantage here on Stuart Dick up the inside there. Dave Martin has that line, but Stuart Dick holds the speed on the outside, will hold himself alongside him. This of course all gives Gary Tall breathing room there ahead. It's him and Christopher Keeble pretty much about a second apart at the moment. We've got Matt Cox just up ahead of that group, who's trailing Jones, Halliburton, Grillo and Hughes. Grillo and Hughes side by side there, as up ahead of them Cat and Povey side by side as well. We'll look back to your leaders as we have got a challenge here. Simon Edwards up alongside Antonides. Bill Fraser closing in very aggressively now. Probably won't be involved in this fight at turn 4, but he's going to do his best to set himself up for the next couple of laps. Haven't got much time remaining as Antonides slides a bit. Fraser gets some traction. We're on lap 10. 5 to go after this lap. And it's a 3-car battle now for your lead. Could be any one of these guys who will take this one. Although with the way they're racing and the amount of grip these cars have got, it could well be a case that someone helps someone to make a mistake. They're looking incredibly close on the racetrack. Antonides running wide yet again, taking all the ground he can, Will.
Yep, you're right. There we are. We got it right in the end there, Rachel. But Edwards, we've been having a look at him. And he's been doing a good job here today. In fact, you make that point about the fact that if these three tangle up, you've got behind Ben Daniels, Simon Povey, Anthony Catt, Clark Williams and Claire Hughes. Any one of those top 8 drivers, Rachel, easily can win this race here today. And the thing about Mid-Ohio is drivers like to get aggressive on the last couple of laps, and that means anything can happen.
Absolutely does here, as Bill Fraser goes to cool the engine very aggressively out there to try and get some clean air, as Anthony Des will pull up alongside the car of Simon Edwards, even not Ben Daniels. He's just coming up behind these guys, closes up on the entry to the corner with a big dive there, as Anthony Des just didn't quite keep his nose alongside him, but just about did. Forced him to take a compromise line. We'll get an early jump alongside Edwards for your lead. This could be big, but he's in a big dead wall of air there. Wasn't in the draft very long. Bill Fraser and Ben Daniels behind them drafting up. Fraser choosing instead to keep cold air on his car, wanting to save some, should we say, close range racing for the end of this one. Daniels getting a bit closer there as Anthony Des does push past Edwards and holds that first position back again. Something he's been trying to keep all race long, but just hasn't quite managed. Fraser, though, waiting in the wings, could definitely be a factor late in this thing. Daniels could be an outside chance here. He could be the lucky bet in this one in case something happens. He's a very fast driver and has been unlucky recently, but this could be one of his chances should something happen. But unless it does, I think he might be just unlucky today. Possibly a podium, but the win is going to come from these top 3 cars if they can all stay on the racetrack. One of these guys will win it, but who? Your guess is as good as mine. All 3 of these drivers are race-winning quality. So far, Bill Fraser's won 2 of the 3. Anthony Des, the other one. Edwards is the only one in this trio who has not won this season. He wants it desperately. Bill Fraser also wants to get himself back on that winning track to defend his title here this season. Anthony Des there. Defensive as up the inside, looks Edwards to make him think about it. Wasn't probably going to go for the pass, but gets himself into place to really kind of make him worry about his mirror rather than the entry to the corner. Fraser close to Edwards. We could get a 3-wide run this time down towards China Bend. Quite a few lap cars up ahead of them in the near future. Fraser catches up now and looks to go for a spot. Dives at the middle here, 3-wide into China Bend. Who will come out of this one alive? Fraser takes a very aggressive inside line there as Anthony just slots back in front there of Edwards, but he holds possibly second place. He loses it slightly there, gets a bit sideways again. Fraser on the very, very, very sharp edge of his racing right now, the bleeding edge of his talent and grip adhesion to the racetrack. Anthony Des pushing onwards, trying to keep this train of cars behind him, and it is now a train. There are 7 cars in this group, all the way back to our 7th place runner, Clark Williams. All these cars absolutely under an umbrella at the moment, nothing between any of them. It's about a car's length between any single one of these guys. Just behind them, Claire Hughes, Paul Grillo, and Ken Halliburton. They're running a little bit more spread out, slightly Grillo leading that group at the moment, though. A lot of engine cooling happening on the front stretch there as everyone struggles and worries about their engine temperatures. We're getting late in the race. If engines are going to start popping, it's going to be now. And always seem to come to you, Will, when we're talking about exploding engines. But these guys are worrying as always. Cat's run wide there. That allows Clark Williams to get past him, moves up to 6th place. Running through the keyhole yet again as this time the laps are cooling down. We've got 3 to go. It's go time.
It is, and it was actually also Clark Williams who went off as well as Anthony Catt there. That could make it a 5-horse race to the flag right now. I'm very surprised, Rachel, that attrition today has been really good. Still 44 drivers running on track in some way, shape or form as your top 3 go at it again.
They absolutely do, and it's Edwards and Anthony Des side by side, and all of them have been slipping a little bit there as Bill Fraser has to react to a slow Edwards on the apex there. Nearly cost him a place to Ben Daniels as he's trying to find a spot now and it's running out of time, so Bill Fraser's going to have to make some moves soon. Looks to get himself on a different line to these guys, trying to keep the engine as cool as physically possible. And it isn't just about the temperatures of drafting, it's also how they're shifting the race cars, and these guys are on the bleeding edge of the Skippy performance. They're right on the rev limits sometimes with these corners, and they push these gearboxes very, very, very hard. This and the 2K Cup are the masters of Skippy racing. These are the fastest guys you'll find in this class of cars. You better believe they are wringing every ounce of performance out of this vehicle. Probably more than you realistically expect from it in real-world racing. These cars are pushed to the ragged edge right now as we're coming on to lap 14 here. 2 to go now from Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Edwards up there behind Anthony Des. Fraser waiting in the wings in third place for an opportunity here to see himself back on top of that podium. Who will take this one? Too wide there as Fraser gets the inside line there, and Edwards coming through the keyhole. Edwards, though, gets a faster run off and will take second place back there. But Fraser in good drafting position here to pull up on Edwards as he gets a big run alongside and past Anthony Des there. This is definitely about to get interesting. Up the inside he looks. Is it going to be 3 wide into the corner? Will he back out? Sensible move there by Fraser. There is a little bit of contact with Edwards, and Povey subtly throws himself into the mix here. Where did he come from? I've literally no clue. That car disappeared. It's magic. There is witchcraft happening on the racetrack as Simon Povey has just materialized right in contention at the last second, which is one of his trademark moves if he's not leading the whole race. Got past Edwards there and Williams. Cat trailing that group of 7 cars now as Bill Fraser goes to try and make a move here on Edwards. Can he get up the inside and take that position in time? Gonna have to back out here for the fast left into the carousel. Final lap coming up this time by. Who will take this one? Will Anthony just hold on in front of this field, or will it be one of our other drivers in this group of 7 cars, all of whom can realistically take this? One contact could take out 3 cars, 4 cars, or even the whole pack. It just depends where it happens at the moment, and these guys have to be so careful. Lap traffic ahead, but shouldn't be a problem. On to that final lap now. Edwards and Fraser pushing hard to try and beat Anthony Des. Can they get past him? Will they work together to push him out of the way at this point? Fraser knows he has to go soon. Edwards goes before the keyhole. Blocks off Fraser there, pushing him wide. Povey gets up the inside. That could be interesting. Daniels pushes Katz wide. Fraser should get a good run off the corner here alongside Povey, though. Has the draft from Edwards and also had a wider run. Should be a big help to him. But everyone's spaced out now. This could be Anthony Des' chance. No one was quite close enough to get involved in this race early enough. Povey up the inside of Fraser could be stealing third place here if he can get it through the corner well. Anthony Des holds the outside there from Edwards. Stays ahead. Not many more opportunities to pass, and as people get very desperate or creative, Povey probably going to take third place here. This is not quite a corner you can take too wide. If he could stay too wide again, he'll have the advantage for the next double left right-handers. We should see him clear. It does see him clear there. Anthony Des holding on. Only a handful of corners left to go from him. 7 cars under a blanket here. Bill Fraser tries to make a last desperate chance to take back third from Povey. Povey's going to have the inside line, though, an advantage. Fraser probably can't hold it on the outside. Just about loses that spot. Anthony Des, Edwards through the final corners here as everyone's a little bit sideways all of a sudden. That back group of 5 cars now in your top 7 bunching up as they lose traction over the leaders, and it'll be Fahim Anthony Des taking that flag at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Simon Edwards followed by Simon Povey for your top 3. Wow, Will, that was not disappointing.
It wasn't, and one thing there, Rachel, at the end, we did catch it. Simon Povey almost got turned around by Bill Fraser.
Absolutely.
And that was a very close one. And you got to say, great car control there by Povey to hold on as that car was drifting pretty much all the way through the carousel.
Oh, absolutely. They were all just about sideways there as they were trying to push everything to the limit there. And those guys really wheeling those cars. What a phenomenal run. We are going to go for a quick break. Do not go anywhere, because when we come back, we're going to have the post-race interviews, and the post-race show on Monday Night Skippys is one of the best parts. It's not as good as the racing, but it's really close. So we'll be back in just a second. Monday Night Skippies and the post-race show here on RaceSpotTV. What a race we've just had, and we've got the results for you on the screen. Fahim Antonidis comes home with the win today. Simon Edwards in second place, Simon Povey in third. Bill Fraser and Clark Williams rounds out your top 5 with Ben Daniels, Anthony Catt, Claire Hughes, Paul Grillo and Kane Halliburton in your top 10. Positions after that, we have Anthony Jones in 11th place, Matt Cox, Gary Torr, Christopher Keeble and Stuart Dick in 15th, with Robert Plumley, Christian Novak, Paul Thurston in 18th, Chris Bassett and Ronan Griffin in 20th. Rest of those results on your screen as we have chance to talk to Fahim Antonidis, who came home today with the win. It's 2 weeks in a row for him. It's now you and Bill 2 for 2.
Well, that's a lot better then, isn't it?
Absolutely is. Tell us about your race.
Didn't get a qualifying lap that I wanted. In open qualifying, it is always a bit of a lottery, and you know, I've done a lot worse in open qualifying than fourth, so I suppose I shouldn't grumble too much. But the problem with this track is overtaking, and a little bit like Okayama, it's an engine killer as well. So my worry was that I was going to get stuck in a train of 4 or whoever, you know, 3 guys in front of me, and then I was going to overheat and blow. So I really tried my best to get up front as quickly as possible, and once there, I really tried hard to keep up front because of fear of blowing that engine. So the rest of the race just panned out like that, me trying to hang on to the lead, and I have to say the guys behind me, or a lot of the times next to me, have got fantastic racecraft. They've got great spatial awareness and a lot of respect, and it's always a pleasure to race against people like that.
It's one of the great things to hear, of course, about this sort of racing is hearing about the respect between the drivers, and they appreciate how each other races. You guys were frantic at the front of that race. There wasn't a huge amount of passing, but the car positioning was absolutely critical. And we saw everybody behind the leader, of course, including you at times, Fahim. Everyone was ducking in and out of the lanes, trying to find clean and cold air. Was that a major concern in these cars now?
It is. I think these cars have more drag now than the previous build, and we've seen a few blow-ups in Okayama. I had a high-strength of field race at this track earlier in the day, and the guy behind me blew up as well. And I think some of the other guys must have been doing some official races and seeing the same thing. So yeah, the name of the game was to try and keep that engine cool, but at the same time, you know, it's tough because you gotta hang on to that draft, and you can only do that if you're stuck behind somebody. So I think these guys know what they're doing. They obviously managed to keep their engine safe, and they were at the same time right within shouting distance of going for the win as well. So again, a lot of respect for them. They just brilliant racers. What can I say?
There you go. Fahim Antonidis comes home with a win today at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. That's 2 wins this season for you, and fantastic chances ahead of you for the championship. So thanks for joining us, Fahim.
Take care.
Now, Fahim Antonidis. Next up, we've got Simon Edwards with us in second place. Simon, that was a crazy, crazy race. First in qualifying, and wow, that was just hectic at the front.
Like you say, that was crazy. I'd had races in the week of a similar nature and not finished them. So that was definitely on my mind. I heard Fahim talking about the engine there as well. So we were definitely having to play safe with that as well.
Well, Fahim was talking about the respect you guys show each other on the racetrack and how it lets you race that much closer than perhaps the official races. But this track and the engine temperatures being so critical, is it always a fear now getting close in the Skippys?
It is, but I think I've learned to manage it. Just with short shifting and getting into clear air. But without actually losing the draft. It's sort of a little skill that you have to try and grab the beginning of the draft, and then you can move out.
Oh, absolutely, of course. And it seemed as though China Bend was the big one for you guys today.
Yes, and it was a bit slippy today as well for the speed of the track. Able to do 35s and even high 34s. That particular corner didn't seem to have the same grip as the rest of the track.
Of course, makes things a little bit interesting. Either way, second place, fantastic result here today, Simon.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us, Simon. Well, we've got 3 bananas with us next. We've got Barry. Okay, butt away.
I don't really want to talk about my race.
He's not kidding. Start, all of you. Interview yourselves. Go on.
Right, I didn't want to start because I think Gary ought to speak first.
Okay, Gary interview Paul. Paul interview Barry. Then everyone onwards like that.
Okay. How was your race, Paul?
Behind you, most of it. It was. I wasn't very quick here. I didn't get much practice in, as you know. As I told you before, I don't know why you bothered to ask actually. But
because Rachel told me to.
Who's that guy?
Oh yeah, Rachel. We always do what Rachel tells us.
I mean, you're meant to be asking so we can hear.
It was. I had fun actually. It was a really, really tight race in the mid-pack. We had loads and loads of people around us. I mean, Gary was a bit quicker than me, and he was sort of in the group in front. But there were about 4 or 5 of us, and it was, you know, people would go off, and then somebody would sort of slide behind. I did one. I managed to get a move on the outside past Dave. Dave Martin, around Dave Martin at the twisty bit around the end of the straight, and that was good. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with 18th because 0 practice this week. But next week it'll all be different. I've no idea where it is. So Baz, tell us about your race. You had a bit of a nasty one in the middle, didn't you?
Yeah, I was going great guns. I mean, I didn't get one decent qualifying lap in. I seemed to be just giving everybody else a tow and then getting balked on the corners as they passed me. And I tried slowing up and making gaps, but I couldn't even get a clean lap in at all. So I think I started 43rd, I think, lowest ever. Of course, I'm a bit rusty anyway, like you, no practice. But then
I think that's a tan actually.
I was doing quite well. I got past a few wrecks and that, and picked up a few places, and then I was having a great little ding dong, and I just tried to nip up the inside of Alan Hudson, and I don't think he knew I was there, and my front wheel touched his rear, so I checked up, slowed me right up, which put me back into the grip of I think Simon was coming through, and going into the last little twisty bit, I had to check up. There was 3 cars going into the last one corner, and we checked up. I think Simon went through, and Paul, is it Paul Pullman? No, they just caught the back of me anyway. Sent me into the barrier, so I thought I'll take the tow because I'm near the pits. 55-second tow, so that put me back down to 49th and last again then. And then Dave Kirkman and I were having a great little battle at the back. And then the leaders came through, and I let them through, and then he let them through. Then the next group came through, and he snuck by, the cheeky little bugger. Yeah, there was about two leaders in between us then, so we couldn't have a little ding-dong. But yeah, it was a good little race at the end, I suppose, but could have been better, points-wise. Anyway, how many points do we get, chaps?
Many. You need to interview Gary now.
Oh, right, yes. Well, what was your late race? Your race like, Harry? Gone to sleep? No.
yeah. I need it after that race. It was okay. It was pretty good fun there with Rob Plumley and Christopher Keeble. He couldn't really break the draft, so if you overtook, you pretty much knew you were going to get overtaken again. I think it was a bit naughty to Stuart Dick at one point, because all of a sudden he was behind me and I wasn't quite sure where he came from. But no, it was a good fun race. Bit disappointed with qualifying again. Just can't seem to get that worked out at the moment. But no, the race was good fun.
No, it was very slippy tonight, wasn't it? It was like ice.
It was like Simon said, for how quick it was very easy to lose the back end. I think the other thing was it was quite marginal on fuel. My car actually started coughing just as it went over the line, another couple of corners, and I'd have been in real trouble.
Yeah, I was more. I seemed to be a little lighter on the fuel than you. Probably not going as quick. I had about 3/4 of a lap left according to the sim. But yeah, it was slippy. Maybe it was a bit GPL-ish. I mean, because there was a lot of sliding. I mean, everybody was sliding around the corners, so there was a lot of drifting going on. People were slipping wide and then coming back and not actually losing that much time, really.
So you both used 2.1 then?
Yeah, I used 2.1.
Oh, right. So I had a gallon on top anyway, yeah.
Oh, that's why you were slow, guys.
Yeah. Oh,
Well, thank you very much for interviewing yourselves, folks. Actually, we'll wrap that one up there as tea time has now ended. You guys can all run off and grab your kettles, etc.
Rachel, could we go back to normal next week and you interview us?
Yes, we will. But I literally have been doing most of the talking this broadcast because Will has been sneezing for most of the broadcast, so my voice is a little ragged, which is awkward, seeing as I'm now going into a 2-hour stream on my Twitch channel after this.
Well, at least you get a nice swim.
Basically after 20 minutes. So, yeah. Yeah, so I had to get you guys to interview yourselves this week. So, thank you for doing that. That was definitely a change up for the different. Thank you. And we will wrap this one up as always. Don't forget, folks, check out our description, check out Calm, check out Esteban Ballo's track pack. And thank you so much for joining us. We will see you same time next week. I've been Rachel Whiteford. I've been joined by Will Vincent. This has been RaceSpotTV and Monday Night Skippys. Bye-bye.